The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky terrain of eastern Afghanistan as Staff Sergeant Maria Santos adjusted her position behind the Barrett M82A1 rifle. The weight of the .50 caliber weapon felt familiar in her hands, like an extension of her own body after countless hours of training and combat deployments. At 28 years old, she had already earned a reputation as one of the most skilled marksmen in her unit, though many of her male counterparts still questioned whether a woman belonged in their elite ranks. Maria had grown up in a small town in Texas where hunting was a way of life. Her father, a Vietnam veteran, had taught her to shoot when she was just 8 years old. By the time she was 15, she could consistently hit targets at distances that impressed even seasoned hunters. Her natural talent, combined with an almost supernatural ability to read wind patterns and calculate bullet drop, made her a natural candidate for sniper training when she enlisted in the Army at 18. The path to becoming a military sniper had not been easy. The training was grueling, designed to break down recruits and rebuild them into precision instruments of warfare. Maria had endured weeks of sleep deprivation, physical exhaustion, and psychological pressure that would have broken many hardened soldiers. She had crawled through mud, slept in freezing conditions, and learned to remain motionless for hours at a time while maintaining perfect focus on distant targets. What set Maria apart was not just her marksmanship skills, but her ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. During one training exercise, she had been required to take a shot at a target 1,200 meters away, while instructors fired blank rounds near her position and shouted distractions in her ear. While other trainees flinched or missed their targets, Maria's shot had been dead center. Her instructors had noted her exceptional composure and recommended her for advanced training. Now, 3 years later, she found herself embedded with a Navy SEAL team deep in Taliban territory. The mission was supposed to be straightforward: locate and eliminate a high-value target who had been coordinating attacks against coalition forces. Intelligence reports indicated that the target would be meeting with local commanders at a compound nestled in a valley approximately 2 kilometers from their observation post. The SEAL team leader, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, was a 12-year veteran with multiple deployments under his belt. He had initially been skeptical about having a female sniper attached to his team. Morrison came from the old school of special operations, where women were seen as a liability in combat situations. However, his reservations had begun to fade after witnessing Maria's performance during pre-deployment training exercises. Morrison's team consisted of 6 highly trained operators, each with specialized skills honed through years of combat experience. There was Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez, the team's communications specialist and secondary sniper, who carried a lighter state Route 25 rifle. Petty Officer Martinez served as the team medic and explosive ordnance specialist. Petty Officer Thompson was their intelligence analyst and Arabic linguist. Petty Officer Davis handled close protection and assault operations, while Petty Officer Wilson specialized in reconnaissance and surveillance. The team had been in position for 3 days, observing the target compound through high-powered spotting scopes and gathering intelligence on enemy movements. The compound consisted of several mud brick buildings surrounded by high walls, typical of rural Afghan construction. Intelligence reports indicated that their target, a Taliban commander known as the Ghost for his ability to evade capture, would arrive sometime during the morning hours. Maria had spent the previous evening carefully studying the terrain between their position and the compound. She had noted wind patterns, temperature variations, and potential obstacles that might affect a long-range shot. Using her spotting scope, she had identified several reference points that would help her calculate distance and adjust for environmental factors. The elevation difference between their position and the target area was significant, requiring careful calculation of bullet trajectory. At such extreme distances, even minor variations in environmental conditions could cause a shot to miss by several feet. Maria had to account for air density, humidity, wind speed, and direction at multiple points along the bullet's path, and even the rotation of the Earth itself. As dawn broke over the mountains, the team received intelligence that their target was en route to the compound. Morrison gathered his team for a final briefing, reviewing escape routes and contingency plans. The mission parameters were clear: eliminate the target and extract without engaging in prolonged combat with enemy forces. Rodriguez had been monitoring radio communications throughout the night and reported increased chatter among Taliban fighters in the area. It appeared that the target was traveling with a significant security detail, making the mission more complicated than originally anticipated. Morrison made the decision to maintain their current position and wait for the optimal shot opportunity. Maria began her pre-shot routine, methodically checking her rifle's zero and reviewing her range cards. She had created detailed notes about the target area, including precise measurements to various landmarks that would help her estimate distance to any target that appeared. Her spotter, Chief Rodriguez, positioned himself beside her with a high-powered spotting scope, ready to call wind corrections and confirm target identification. The morning air was still, with only a light breeze coming from the southwest. Maria knew that wind conditions could change rapidly in mountainous terrain, requiring constant attention and adjustment. She had learned to read the subtle signs of wind direction by observing the movement of vegetation, dust, and even heat mirages in the distance. At 0847 hours, Rodriguez spotted movement at the compound through his scope. Several vehicles had arrived, and armed figures could be seen moving between the buildings. Morrison moved to his own observation position to coordinate the team's actions while maintaining communication with their command post. Maria controlled her breathing and settled into a comfortable shooting position. She had learned that proper body position was crucial for accuracy at extreme distances. Every muscle in her body needed to be relaxed except for those required to control the rifle. She used a bipod to support the front of the weapon and positioned sandbags to provide additional stability. The Barrett M82A1 was a formidable weapon, capable of engaging targets at distances exceeding 1,500 meters with proper ammunition and conditions. Maria was using match-grade .50 caliber rounds specifically designed for long-range precision shooting. Each round had been carefully selected and inspected for consistency in weight and construction. Through her rifle scope, Maria could see figures moving around the compound, but the distance made positive identification difficult. She would need to wait for the target to present himself in a position where both she and Rodriguez could confirm his identity before taking the shot. The tension among the team members was palpable as they waited for their target to appear. Morrison monitored radio communications while the other team members maintained security and watched for any signs of enemy activity in their area. They all understood that once Maria took her shot, they would likely face immediate retaliation from enemy forces in the valley below. Rodriguez provided a steady stream of updates on wind conditions and target movement, speaking in the calm, professional tone that all military spotters are trained to use. He had worked with several snipers during his career, but he had quickly developed respect for Maria's methodical approach and steady nerves. As the morning progressed, Maria noticed that the wind patterns were becoming more complex. The sun was heating the valley floor, creating thermal currents that would affect bullet trajectory in unpredictable ways. She would need to time her shot carefully to account for these changing conditions. At 0923 hours, Rodriguez announced that he had positive identification of their target. Through his spotting scope, he could see a tall figure in traditional Afghan dress moving between buildings in a pattern consistent with their intelligence briefings about the target's behavior. Maria shifted her rifle slightly to acquire the target through her own scope. The range to target was approximately 2,100 meters, well within the theoretical capability of her rifle and ammunition combination, but at the extreme edge of what most military snipers would consider a high-probability shot. Maria had made successful shots at similar distances during training, but never under combat conditions with lives hanging in the balance. Morrison monitored the situation through his own scope while maintaining communication with their command post. The mission had taken on added urgency due to intelligence reports indicating that the target was planning a major attack against coalition forces in the coming days. This might be their only opportunity to eliminate him before he disappeared into the mountainous terrain where he could evade capture indefinitely. Maria began her final preparations for the shot, running through her mental checklist one more time. She verified her rifle's settings, confirmed the target's identity with Rodriguez, and calculated the adjustments needed for distance, elevation, and wind. Her heart rate remained steady despite the pressure of the situation, a testament to her training and mental discipline. The target moved into an open area between buildings, presenting Maria with a clear shot opportunity. Rodriguez called out the wind conditions and confirmed that the target remained stationary. Morrison gave the authorization to engage, and Maria began her final breathing cycle, preparing to take a shot that would test every skill she had developed as a sniper. In the seconds before pulling the trigger, Maria's mind was completely focused on the fundamentals of marksmanship that had been drilled into her during countless hours of training. She controlled her breathing, relaxed her muscles, and applied steady pressure to the trigger while maintaining perfect sight alignment on the target. The morning silence was about to be shattered by the thunderous report of the Barrett rifle, and the Taliban commander known as the Ghost was about to discover that even at distances he considered safe, American military precision could reach out and touch him. Maria had spent years preparing for this moment, and she was ready to prove that gender had no bearing on a sniper's ability to complete the mission. Hashtag the impossible shot. Part 2, the .50 caliber round left the muzzle of Maria's Barrett rifle at over 2,800 feet per second, beginning its journey across the Afghan valley with deadly precision. The massive recoil of the weapon pushed against her shoulder, but years of training had taught her to manage the rifle's substantial kick without losing sight of her target. Through her scope, she watched as the bullet traced its arc through the morning air toward the distant compound. Rodriguez tracked the bullet's path through his spotting scope, calling out corrections for any follow-up shots that might be necessary. The flight time for a .50 caliber round at 2,100 meters was approximately 3 seconds, an eternity in combat situations where targets could move unexpectedly. Both Maria and Rodriguez held their breath as they watched the target area through their optics. The impact was devastating and immediate. The Taliban commander's body crumpled to the ground as the massive bullet found its mark, delivering over 13,000 foot-pounds of energy. Rodriguez confirmed the hit through his spotting scope, noting that the target was down and showing no signs of movement. Maria had placed her shot exactly where she had intended, demonstrating the precision that had earned her reputation as an exceptional marksman. Morrison immediately began coordinating the team's extraction from their position. The sound of the Barrett rifle would have been heard for miles in the mountain terrain, and enemy forces would quickly begin searching for the source of the shot. The SEAL team had perhaps 10 to 15 minutes before Taliban fighters would begin converging on their general area. The compound below erupted into chaos as the target security detail realized what had happened. Through their scopes, the SEAL team could see armed figures running between buildings and vehicles, some taking defensive positions while others appeared to be organizing search parties. Radio chatter intercepted by their communications equipment indicated growing alarm and confusion among enemy forces. Rodriguez quickly packed his spotting scope and other equipment while Maria began the process of securing her Barrett rifle for movement. The weapon's size and weight made it cumbersome during rapid movement, but its effectiveness at extreme ranges made it an essential tool for their mission. She had practiced quick breakdown and transport procedures countless times during training. Chief Rodriguez had been initially skeptical about working with a female sniper, particularly one who appeared young enough to be his daughter. His doubts had evaporated during their pre-deployment training when he witnessed Maria's methodical approach to long-range shooting and her ability to remain calm under pressure. He had worked with numerous snipers during his career, and he recognized genuine talent when he saw it. The team began their movement toward the primary extraction point, following a route that Morrison had carefully planned to avoid likely enemy patrol areas. They moved in tactical formation, with point and rear security elements watching for threats while the main group advanced through the rocky terrain. Each team member carried specialized equipment essential for their mission, making rapid movement challenging in a mountainous environment. Maria's shot had been the culmination of years of training and experience, but she knew that their mission success would ultimately depend on the team's ability to reach the extraction point without engaging in prolonged combat with enemy forces. The Taliban fighters in the area were experienced mountain warriors who knew the terrain intimately and could quickly organize effective pursuit operations. As they moved through the rocky landscape, Morrison received updates from their command post indicating increased enemy radio activity throughout the region. Intelligence analysts were monitoring Taliban communications and reporting that enemy commanders were organizing a coordinated search operation involving multiple groups of fighters. The window for successful extraction was closing rapidly. Rodriguez provided security while communicating with their helicopter support, coordinating pickup timing and location details. The extraction would need to be executed precisely to avoid exposing the aircraft to enemy fire from the surrounding mountains. Helicopter operations in mountainous terrain were inherently dangerous, and the added threat of enemy ground fire made the situation even more precarious. Maria reflected on the events leading to this moment as the team navigated the difficult terrain. Her journey to becoming a military sniper had been marked by constant challenges to prove herself in a traditionally male-dominated field. During sniper school, she had been one of only 3 women in a class of 42 students, and the pressure to perform had been enormous. The psychological aspects of sniper training had been particularly challenging for Maria. Instructors had deliberately attempted to break down students' confidence and mental resilience through sleep deprivation, stress positions, and constant criticism. Many students have been eliminated from the program due to their inability to maintain focus and composure under extreme pressure. Maria's success had come from her ability to compartmentalize stress and maintain focus on the fundamentals of marksmanship regardless of external distractions. During one memorable training exercise, she had been required to engage multiple targets while instructors used pyrotechnic devices and loud noises to simulate combat conditions. Her accuracy had remained consistent throughout the exercise, earning praise from instructors who had initially doubted her capabilities. The current mission had presented unique challenges that tested every aspect of Maria's training and experience. The extreme range of her shot pushed the Barrett rifle to its operational limits, requiring precise calculations and perfect execution. Environmental factors such as altitude, temperature, and humidity all affected bullet trajectory at such distances, making accurate shots extremely difficult even under ideal conditions. Morrison's team had trained together for months before their deployment, developing the coordination and trust necessary for special operations missions. Each team member had undergone extensive background investigations and psychological evaluations to ensure their suitability for classified operations. The team's success depended on their ability to function as a cohesive unit under extreme pressure. The terrain they were crossing consisted of loose rock and steep slopes that made movement both difficult and potentially dangerous. A twisted ankle or other injury could compromise their ability to reach the extraction point on schedule, potentially exposing them to capture or worse. Each team member had to balance speed with caution as they navigated the treacherous landscape. Rodriguez continued monitoring enemy radio communications as they moved, providing Morrison with updates on Taliban search activities. The enemy was becoming more organized in their response, with multiple groups beginning systematic searches of likely sniper positions. It was only a matter of time before they narrowed their search to the team's actual location. Maria's Barrett rifle required special consideration during their movement due to its size and weight. The weapon system weighed over 30 pounds, including ammunition and accessories, making it one of the heaviest pieces of equipment carried by the team. She had trained extensively in tactical movement with the weapon, learning to maintain mobility while preserving the rifle's precision capabilities. The team's movement was aided by their detailed knowledge of the terrain gained through satellite imagery and previous reconnaissance missions. Morrison had spent hours studying the area and identifying multiple routes to their extraction point. Having alternative options was crucial in special operations where situations could change rapidly, and flexibility was essential for survival. As they approached a ridge line that would provide cover from observation by enemy forces in the valley, Morrison called a brief halt to reassess their situation. The team had been moving for approximately 45 minutes since Maria's shot, and their communications with the command post indicated that enemy search activities were intensifying throughout the region. Through his binoculars, Morrison could see dust clouds in the distance indicating vehicle movement on valley roads. The Taliban was mobilizing significant resources to locate and eliminate the sniper team, understanding that allowing such precision strikes to go unpunished would encourage similar operations in the future. The psychological impact of long-range sniper attacks on enemy morale was significant and well documented. Rodriguez established communication with their helicopter support and received confirmation that the aircraft was en route to the primary extraction point. The pilots reported clear weather conditions, but noted increased radio chatter indicating enemy awareness of helicopter operations in the area. Timing would be critical to avoid exposing the aircraft to ground fire during the pickup operation. Maria checked her equipment and weapon systems during the brief halt, ensuring that everything remained secure and functional. The physical demands of movement in mountainous terrain while carrying heavy equipment were substantial, and equipment failures could have catastrophic consequences during combat operations. Attention to detail and constant vigilance were essential for survival. The team resumed movement toward their extraction point, maintaining tactical spacing and security procedures despite the urgency of their situation. Morrison knew that hasty movement often led to tactical errors that could compromise the mission or endanger team members. Professional military units trained extensively to maintain discipline and proper procedures even under extreme pressure. As they crested the ridge line, Rodriguez spotted movement in the valley below, indicating that enemy search parties were expanding their operations. Multiple groups of armed fighters could be seen moving through areas where the sniper team might have taken position for their shot. The Taliban's response was well-organized and systematic, demonstrating their experience in counter-sniper operations. Morrison made the decision to alter their route to the extraction point, taking advantage of terrain features that would provide concealment from enemy observation. The new route was longer and more difficult, but it offered better security during their final approach to the pickup zone. Flexibility and adaptability were hallmarks of successful special operations units. Maria's shot had achieved its primary objective of eliminating a high-value target, but the mission would not be considered successful until the team safely reached their extraction point. Special operations missions were often measured not just by their immediate tactical success, but by the ability to complete objectives without sustaining casualties or compromising future operations. The sound of helicopter rotors in the distance indicated that their extraction aircraft was approaching the area, though the pickup would not occur for another 20 minutes according to their timeline. The team needed to reach the landing zone and secure it against potential enemy interference while maintaining communication with the pilots to ensure a successful extraction under potentially hostile conditions. #The Impossible Shot. Part 3. The extraction zone lay 2 kilometers ahead through increasingly difficult terrain as Morrison's SEAL team pressed forward with growing urgency. Intelligence reports flowing through their communications indicated that Taliban search parties were systematically working their way up the mountainside, following a grid pattern that would eventually bring them close to the team's position. Time was becoming their most precious commodity. Rodriguez maintained constant communication with their helicopter support while monitoring enemy radio frequencies. The Taliban commanders were demonstrating tactical sophistication in their response, coordinating multiple search elements while establishing roadblocks on likely escape routes. Their radio discipline had improved significantly since the early days of the conflict, making intelligence gathering more challenging for coalition forces. Maria's successful elimination of their high-value target had sent shockwaves through the enemy command structure. Intercepted communications revealed confusion and anger among Taliban leadership, who had believed their commander was operating from a secure location beyond the reach of coalition forces. The psychological impact of precision long-range strikes extended far beyond the immediate tactical effects. The terrain they were crossing consisted of loose shale and granite outcroppings that made silent movement extremely difficult. Each footstep had the potential to dislodge rocks that would cascade down the mountainside, potentially revealing their position to enemy forces below. The team moved with deliberate care, testing each step before committing their full weight. Morrison's experience in mountainous terrain proved invaluable as he led the team through areas that provided maximum concealment while avoiding natural choke points where they might be ambushed. His previous deployments in Afghanistan had taught him to read the landscape like a tactical map, identifying covered approaches and potential danger areas through subtle variations in terrain features. The Barrett rifle that had delivered Maria's precision shot now represented both an asset and a liability during their extraction. While its long-range capabilities had made their mission possible, its substantial weight and bulk made rapid movement more challenging. Maria had trained extensively with the weapon system, learning to maintain tactical mobility while preserving the rifle's precision capabilities. Chief Rodriguez's role as spotter had been crucial to the success of Maria's shot, but his expertise extended far beyond target observation. His knowledge of ballistics, environmental factors, and tactical procedures made him an invaluable partner in long-range shooting operations. The relationship between sniper and spotter required absolute trust and seamless communication under extreme pressure. As they approached a narrow valley that would provide concealment during their final approach to the extraction zone, Morrison called for another brief halt to reassess their tactical situation. Through his binoculars, he could observe enemy movement patterns in the distance and evaluate potential threats to their helicopter extraction operation. The Taliban search parties were displaying increasing coordination in their operations, with different groups maintaining radio contact and sharing information about areas they had cleared. Their search pattern indicated professional military training, likely provided by foreign advisors or experienced fighters who had survived multiple conflicts in the region. Rodriguez established contact with the helicopter crews and received updated weather information that could affect the extraction operation. Mountain weather was notoriously unpredictable, with conditions changing rapidly due to altitude and terrain effects. Wind patterns in particular could make helicopter operations dangerous, especially when attempting precision landings in confined spaces. Maria used the brief halt to conduct final preparations for helicopter extraction, securing equipment and ensuring that nothing would be left behind that could provide intelligence value to enemy forces. Special operations units maintained strict protocols about equipment accountability, understanding that captured gear could reveal tactical capabilities and operational methods. The team's escape route had been carefully planned using satellite imagery and intelligence reports about enemy patrol patterns, but real-world conditions often differed from what maps and photographs revealed. Morrison's ability to adapt their route based on actual terrain features and current enemy activity was essential for reaching the extraction point safely. As they resumed movement, the distant sound of helicopter rotors became audible, indicating that their extraction aircraft was approaching the operational area. The timing would be critical. Arriving too early would expose the aircraft to enemy fire, while arriving too late might allow Taliban forces to establish positions overlooking the landing zone. Morrison's team had practiced helicopter extraction procedures numerous times during training, but actual combat conditions always presented unique challenges. The pilots would need to approach the landing zone quickly, maintain position just long enough for the team to board, and depart immediately to avoid enemy rocket or small arms fire. The psychological pressure of extraction operations was significant for all team members, as the proximity of safety could sometimes lead to tactical errors or hasty decision-making. Professional military training emphasized maintaining discipline and proper procedures regardless of circumstances, but human nature made it difficult to completely suppress the desire to reach safety as quickly as possible. Rodriguez monitored enemy communications and reported that Taliban forces were beginning to focus their search activities closer to the team's actual position. Radio intercepts indicated that enemy commanders suspected the sniper team was moving toward helicopter extraction, and they were positioning forces accordingly to intercept or engage the aircraft. Maria's role in the team extended beyond her capabilities as a precision marksman. Her training included close-quarters combat, medical procedures, communications, and tactical movement, skills essential for special operations personnel who might need to adapt to changing mission requirements. The modern military sniper was expected to function as a complete soldier, not simply a long-range shooter. The extraction zone consisted of a small clearing on a ridge line that provided adequate space for helicopter operations while offering defensive positions in case the team needed to fight off enemy forces during the pickup operation. Morrison had selected the location based on multiple factors including approach routes, defensive terrain, and proximity to their mission area. As they neared the extraction zone, Morrison deployed his team in a security perimeter that would protect the landing area while allowing rapid boarding when the helicopter arrived. Each team member had specific responsibilities during extraction operations, from providing security to loading equipment and ensuring accountability of personnel and sensitive materials. The sound of approaching helicopters grew louder, indicating that their extraction was imminent. Morrison established direct communication with the flight lead to coordinate final approach timing and confirm security conditions at the landing zone. Any sign of enemy activity in the area would require immediate adjustment of extraction procedures. Rodriguez continued monitoring Taliban radio frequencies and reported increased activity among search parties, some of which appear to be moving toward their general area. The enemy was demonstrating tactical intelligence in their response operations, using multiple information sources to narrow their search parameters and focus resources effectively. Maria prepared for rapid boarding procedures, ensuring that her Barrett rifle was properly secured for helicopter transport while remaining accessible if needed during the extraction. The weapon's size and weight required special handling during aircraft operations, and proper securing procedures were essential to prevent injury or equipment damage. The team's successful mission had eliminated a significant threat to coalition forces, but their survival depended on completing the extraction without detection or engagement by enemy forces. Special operations missions were often judged not only by their primary objectives, but also by their execution without casualties or compromise of future operations. Morrison's experience in combat leadership was evident in his calm management of the extraction process despite growing enemy pressure. His ability to maintain situational awareness while coordinating multiple aspects of the operation, team security, helicopter communication, and contingency planning exemplified the qualities required for Special Operations Command. The first helicopter appeared over the ridge line, right on schedule, its crew scanning the area for signs of enemy activity while preparing for a rapid landing and pickup. The aircraft's defensive systems were active, and door gunners were positioned to provide suppressive fire if the extraction came under enemy attack. Rodriguez provided final updates on enemy positions based on radio intercepts and visual observation, giving Morrison the information needed to make critical decisions about extraction timing and procedures. The intelligence indicated that they had a narrow window of opportunity before enemy forces would be close enough to threaten the helicopter operation. Maria's shot had initiated a chain of events that would test every aspect of their training and preparation. The mission's ultimate success will be determined not just by the precision of her marksmanship, but by the team's ability to complete their extraction and return safely to base with valuable intelligence about enemy capabilities and response procedures. As the helicopter settled into the landing zone with rotors turning, kicking up clouds of dust and debris, Morrison gave the signal for his team to move toward the aircraft. The next few minutes would determine whether their successful elimination of a high-value target would be remembered as a tactical victory or overshadowed by casualties during extraction. Hashtag the impossible shot. Part for the helicopter's rotor wash created a whirlwind of dust and debris as Morrison's team sprinted across the landing zone toward the aircraft. The pilot maintained power to the rotors, ready for immediate takeoff once all personnel were aboard. Through his headset, Morrison could hear radio chatter indicating that enemy forces were closing in on their position faster than anticipated. Rodriguez was the first to reach the helicopter, diving through the open door while maintaining grip on his communication equipment. As the team's radio operator, his immediate priority was establishing secure communication with their command post to report mission completion and coordinate any necessary support during their extraction flight. Maria followed closely behind, struggling slightly with the weight and bulk of her Barrett rifle system in the rotor wash and loose terrain. The weapon had performed flawlessly during her record-setting shot, but its size made aircraft operations challenging. She had practiced helicopter boarding procedures with the rifle numerous times, but combat conditions always introduced unexpected complications. The helicopter crew chief helped secure Maria's equipment while she strapped herself into the aircraft's crash-resistant seating system. Her Barrett rifle was carefully positioned and secured to prevent damage during flight operations while remaining accessible if needed for defensive purposes during their return journey. Morrison was the last team member to board, maintaining overwatch of the landing zone until all his personnel were safely aboard the aircraft. As team leader, he bore responsibility for every aspect of the operation, from mission planning to safe extraction of his personnel and equipment. His headcount confirmed all 6 team members were present and accounted for. The pilot applied power immediately upon receiving Morrison's signal that all personnel were aboard. The helicopter lifted off in a climbing turn that would take them away from the immediate threat area while remaining below radar coverage that might expose them to surface-to-air missile threats. Mountain flying required constant awareness of terrain features and weather conditions. Through the aircraft's windows, the team could see Taliban fighters emerging from concealed positions throughout the valley below. Enemy forces had been closer to their extraction point than intelligence reports had indicated, highlighting the dangerous nature of special operations in hostile territory, where situations could change rapidly and unpredictably. Rodriguez established communication with their forward operating base and transmitted coded confirmation of mission success, including verification of target elimination and successful extraction of all personnel. This information would be immediately forwarded to higher command levels and intelligence agencies for analysis and planning of follow-up operations. Maria's shot had achieved far more than simple elimination of a single enemy commander. Intelligence analysis would later reveal that her target had been coordinating a series of planned attacks against coalition convoys and forward operating bases throughout the region. His death would significantly disrupt enemy operations for weeks or months while new leadership structure developed. The psychological impact of precision long-range sniper attacks extended throughout enemy organizations, creating paranoia and limiting the freedom of movement of high-value targets. Enemy commanders would now be forced to take additional security precautions that would hamper their operational effectiveness and communication capabilities. Morrison conducted a quick assessment of his team members during the flight, checking for injuries or equipment damage that might require attention upon their return to base. All personnel appear to be in good condition despite the physical demands of their mission and extraction under hostile conditions. The helicopter flight path took them through mountain valleys that provided concealment from potential enemy observation while avoiding known surface-to-air missile threat areas. The aircrew had extensive experience in combat operations and understood the importance of maintaining unpredictable flight patterns to avoid enemy targeting. Rodriguez continued monitoring enemy radio frequencies during their flight, providing intelligence updates about Taliban response activities in their target area. Enemy communications revealed significant disruption in their command structure and growing concerns about coalition special operations capabilities in previously secure areas. Maria's record-setting shot at 2,400 meters had pushed the Barrett M82A1 rifle system beyond its normal operational parameters, demonstrating exceptional skill in ballistics calculation and environmental assessment. The shot would be analyzed by ballistics experts and incorporated into training programs for future military snipers. The successful mission represented months of planning, intelligence gathering, and tactical preparation by multiple agencies and military units. Special operations missions required extensive coordination between intelligence agencies, aviation units, command structures, and ground personnel to achieve success while minimizing risk to personnel and equipment. Morrison's team had trained together for over 6 months before deployment, developing the trust and coordination necessary for high-risk operations in hostile territory. Each team member had undergone extensive background investigations and specialized training to prepare them for classified missions requiring split-second decision-making under extreme pressure. The extraction helicopter was part of a larger aviation package that included armed escort aircraft positioned to provide defensive support if the extraction came under enemy fire. Special operations aviation units maintained constant readiness to respond to threatened aircraft with overwhelming firepower to protect personnel and equipment. As they flew toward their forward operating base, Maria reflected on the events of the morning and the training that had prepared her for such a challenging shot. Years of practice, study, and mental preparation had culminated in 3 seconds of perfect execution that had eliminated a significant threat to coalition forces. The Barrett rifle secured beside her represented the pinnacle of long-range precision weaponry, but its effectiveness ultimately depended on the skill and preparation of the operator. Maria's success had validated not only her individual capabilities, but also the effectiveness of military sniper training programs in developing precision marksmen. Rodriguez received confirmation from their base that intelligence analysts were already processing information gathered during their mission. Enemy response patterns, communication procedures, and tactical capabilities observed during their operation would be incorporated into future mission planning and threat assessments. The team's successful elimination of their target would likely prompt changes in enemy security procedures and operational patterns as Taliban commanders attempted to adapt to demonstrated coalition capabilities. This constant cycle of adaptation and counter-adaptation was characteristic of modern asymmetric warfare. Morrison began drafting his preliminary mission report during the flight, documenting key events, enemy observations, and lessons learned that would be valuable for future operations. Special operations units maintained detailed records of tactical procedures, equipment performance, and enemy capabilities to support continuous improvement in operational effectiveness. The helicopter crew reported normal flight operations with no indication of enemy tracking or targeting attempts during their extraction. Mountain terrain provided natural concealment for their flight path, while electronic warfare systems monitored for surface-to-air missile guidance signals that might threaten the aircraft. Maria's shot had been witnessed and confirmed by multiple team members, ensuring that proper documentation would be available for ballistics analysis and potential recognition for exceptional marksmanship. Military records of extreme-range shots served both historical and training purposes for future sniper operations. The forward operating base appeared ahead as their helicopter approached the landing area, where medical personnel and intelligence debriefers would be waiting to process the team and gather detailed information about their mission. Post-mission procedures were as important as pre-mission planning for maximizing intelligence value and operational learning. Rodriguez coordinated with ground personnel to ensure that sensitive equipment and intelligence materials would be properly secured immediately upon landing. Special operations teams often gathered valuable information during their missions that required careful handling to protect sources and methods while maximizing intelligence value. Morrison's team had successfully completed one of the most challenging types of military operations, a precision strike deep in hostile territory followed by successful extraction under enemy pressure. Their performance would be analyzed and incorporated into training programs for future special operations personnel. As the helicopter touched down at their base, Maria realized that her record-setting shot would likely become part of military sniper training programs, demonstrating the possibilities of precision long-range marksmanship when combined with proper training, equipment, and tactical support. The impossible had become possible through preparation, skill, and teamwork. Hashtag the impossible shot. Part 5. The helicopter's rotors wound down as Morrison's team disembarked at their forward operating base, immediately met by intelligence officers and medical personnel who had been monitoring their mission status throughout the operation. The successful elimination of such a high-value target required immediate debriefing to capture tactical information while memories remained fresh and detailed. Maria carefully transferred her Barrett rifle to the armory personnel who would conduct detailed inspection and maintenance of the weapon system. The extreme-range shot had pushed the rifle to its operational limits, and ballistics experts would analyze every component to understand the factors that contributed to her successful engagement at 2,400 meters. Rodriguez handed over his communication equipment and intelligence materials to specialized analysts who would examine recorded enemy radio transmissions for valuable information about Taliban command structure, operational procedures, and response capabilities. Electronic intelligence gathered during special operations often provided insights that were unavailable through other collection methods. The debriefing process began immediately in a secure facility designed to protect classified information while allowing detailed discussion of mission events. Morrison's team would spend several hours reconstructing their operation minute by minute, providing information that would be valuable for future mission planning and tactical development. Intelligence analysts had already begun processing preliminary reports of the mission's success, coordinating with higher command levels and other agencies that had supported the operation. The elimination of their target would have immediate effects on planned enemy operations throughout the region, potentially saving numerous coalition lives. Maria's record-setting shot was being analyzed by ballistics experts who were impressed by the precision achieved at such an extreme range under combat conditions. The combination of environmental factors, ammunition performance, and marksmanship skill required to make such a shot represented the pinnacle of military sniper capabilities. The psychological impact of long-range precision strikes extended far beyond the immediate tactical effects of eliminating individual targets. Enemy commanders throughout the region would now be forced to reconsider their security procedures and movement patterns, understanding that they could be reached even in areas they considered safe. Morrison completed his preliminary mission report, while specific details remained clear in his memory, documenting enemy observations, tactical procedures, and equipment performance that would be valuable for future operations. Special operations units maintain meticulous records to support continuous improvement in capabilities and effectiveness. The forward operating base's medical personnel conducted routine post-mission health assessments to ensure that all team members remained fit for duty after the physical and mental stress of special operations. The demanding nature of such missions required careful attention to personnel health and readiness for future operations. Rodriguez's communication intercepts had provided valuable intelligence about enemy command structure and response procedures that would be analyzed by specialists in Taliban organizational patterns. Understanding how enemy forces reacted to coalition operations helped planners develop more effective tactics and countermeasures. Maria's successful shot had validated years of training and preparation, but she understood that exceptional marksmanship was only one component of effective special operations. The mission's success had depended equally on intelligence gathering, tactical planning, team coordination, and extraction procedures that allowed them to complete their objective safely. The Barrett rifle system that had delivered her precision shot represented decades of development in long-range weapons technology, but its effectiveness ultimately depended on the skill and preparation of the operator. Maria's success demonstrated the importance of comprehensive training programs that developed both technical skills and mental discipline. Intelligence analysis of enemy communications intercepted during their mission revealed significant disruption in Taliban command activities throughout the region. The elimination of their high-value target had created confusion and uncertainty that would hamper enemy operations while new leadership structures developed. Morrison's team had demonstrated the effectiveness of precision special operations in disrupting enemy activities while minimizing coalition resource requirements and risk exposure. Such missions represented efficient use of highly trained personnel and advanced equipment to achieve strategic objectives with tactical operations. The mission's success would be incorporated into case studies used in military training programs, demonstrating the importance of detailed planning, precision execution, and effective team coordination in achieving objectives under hostile conditions. Real-world examples provided valuable learning opportunities for future military personnel. Maria's achievement would likely earn recognition through military awards and commendations, but more importantly, it would serve as inspiration for other female service members pursuing careers in traditionally male-dominated military specialties. Her success helped break down barriers and demonstrate that capability rather than gender determined operational effectiveness. The debriefing process revealed numerous lessons learned that would be valuable for future operations, from equipment performance under extreme conditions to enemy response patterns and tactical adaptations. Special operations units constantly evolve their procedures based on real-world experience and changing threat environments. Rodriguez's expertise as a spotter had been crucial to Maria's success, demonstrating the importance of teamwork in achieving precision long-range shots. The relationship between sniper and spotter required extensive training and practice to develop the trust and coordination necessary for success under combat conditions. Intelligence agencies would analyze the broader implications of their successful mission, including potential changes in enemy operational patterns and security procedures. The elimination of high-value targets often created opportunities for further intelligence gathering as enemy organizations adapted to losses in their leadership structure. Morrison's leadership during the mission exemplified the qualities required for Special Operations Command, including tactical expertise, decision-making under pressure, and responsibility for personnel safety during high-risk operations. His experience and judgment had been essential for mission success and team survival. The Forward Operating Base's Intelligence Center buzzed with activity as analysts processed information gathered during the mission and coordinated with other agencies to maximize the intelligence value of their operation. Single missions often provided information that supported multiple ongoing operations and strategic objectives. Maria's Barrett rifle was undergoing detailed inspection by Armory personnel who documented its condition and performance characteristics after the extreme range engagement. This technical information would be valuable for understanding equipment capabilities and limitations under operational conditions. The mission's success had demonstrated the continued relevance of precision marksmanship in modern warfare, where the ability to eliminate specific threats at long range could achieve strategic objectives without the collateral damage and resource requirements of larger operations. As the team completed their debriefing and prepared for rest and recovery, Maria reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment of professional achievement. From a young woman learning to shoot in rural Texas to a military sniper setting records in Afghanistan, her path had been marked by determination, skill development, and the support of teammates who judge her by performance rather than gender. The impossible shot at 2,400 meters had become possible through preparation, training, teamwork, and the courage to attempt what others considered beyond reach. Maria's success had not only eliminated a significant threat to coalition forces, but had also demonstrated that the limits of human capability were often barriers that existed more in perception than in reality. Lieutenant Commander Morrison gathered his team for a final debrief, acknowledging their exceptional performance and the significance of their achievement. In a few words, he captured what they all understood. Missions like this one reminded them why they had chosen careers in special operations, where individual excellence combined with team effort could accomplish what seemed impossible. The Barrett rifle that had delivered Maria's record-setting shot was cleaned, inspected, and returned to the armory, ready for the next mission that would require precision at extreme range. Like all military equipment, its value lay not in its mechanical capabilities alone, but in the skill and dedication of the professionals who wielded it in service of their country and their fellow service members. Maria's shot had achieved something that would be remembered long after the details of their mission faded from memory. She had proven that excellence recognizes no boundaries of gender, background, or expectation, only the determination to master one's craft and the courage to attempt what others consider impossible. In 3 seconds of perfect execution, she had redefined what was possible for military snipers and opened doors for others to follow in her footsteps.